Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. She is sponsored Lui Nishma Sam Yaakov Shalom Nabas Yitzchok, holding in Sanhedrin Daf Pezayin. This is the Daf which is being learned on Yudalad Ador Tavship Pehei Purim. We're starting the Mishnah Pivovun base in the bottom. Mishnah goes to the next case. What's the next case? Zoken Mamre Alpi Pezdi. Right? What is Zoken Mamre? You have a Zoken. So someone asks you, right? It doesn't have to be old. It can be young too. Well, we'll see in the Mishnah, there has to be a move. It has to be the smartest one. It has to be the biggest one. I mean, he has to be one of the Chashuv Dayanim. And he argues with Beis Din. Beis Din said halacha. He says, I disagree. So he argues with Beis Din. Shenema. What's the case? It says the Pasuk, you don't know a Shayla in the Mishpat. And then comes the case. So, says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, and we'll see the drush of this Pasuk is soon in the Gemara. There's three Batei Dinim in Yerushalayim. Chad Yeshiva Pesach HaRabais. One is in the beginning of Harabais, when you come into Harabais. Chad Yeshiva Pesach HaZor. Once you go into the Hazor. Chad Yeshiva Lishkash Gozis. Lishkash Gozis is in the base of Mikdash, inside, half in Kodesh, half in Choy. Bayin Lezeh Shah Pesach HaRabais. You go first to the lower court in Yerushalayim. So you go and says the case. I have an argument with my friend. I hold like this. My friends are basically hold differently. Im shamu, Omer lem, Oyim lem, different gears. So if they accepted, they said, listen, you're right. That's all good. Fim lav, if they didn't accept his words, meaning the Beis Din, the lower Beis Din Yerushalayim says you're wrong. Beim lem lois b'shapes agazol. They go to the next Beis Din, next level of Beis Din. For him, I said, this is what Josh is my friend's dash. If they hear it accepted, good. Then they go to Beis Din Gadol, Supreme Court of Am Yisrael, Sanhedrin. That's it. I have over here a psak. So now, after you went to the three different levels of Beis Din, and the third one tells you you're wrong, it's over, right? Chazali, you went back to the city. Shana and then he continued to learn the same way he learned before. Different than Beis Din, but it's not a problem. You can learn it. You want to learn Besprendish and say people are wrong, it's fine. Someone does amazing, and you have to be moiri. Has to give Oirah. Has to give up Sakaloch. Talmid Shor La'asois Patur in Tzechum Mekol. A Talmid, a student, a younger guy, he can't pass halachas. So if he did pass it, he doesn't get punished for it. So the chumrah they can't pass halachas, Rashi brings until the age of 40. Interesting. So until the age of 40 is a cooler for it. It doesn't get killed. So like in a sense, he feels, I'm left out. I can't pass it. It's better for you if you pass it wrong. You're not going to get punished for it. So what talking about? Ki pole mimcha davar. Says when the pizarron dalef b'muflo shre Beis Din akos medaber. Right? You have muflo, someone who needs to be a mumche, to be someone who's a chashuv adai. Mimcha ze yoyetz. What do you mean? He has to be a yoyet, which means he knows Ibra Shana. That's what a yoyet says. Chen oim mimcha yetzeh choshev al Hashem. Ro yoytze bliyah. The whole I can't read for the pasuk. It says mimcho together with the word yoyet, which means advisor. Davar. What he dashes zu halacha. Lemishpa, which halacha lachem mishpasinai. He's arguing lachem mishpasinai. Lemishpa ze'adin, which means he's coming to argue in gzera shav. I think it's gzera shav. He's arguing that. Bein dam ledam. When you come into the free shade, what's the machlekes? Bein dam nido, dam leido, dam zivo. Which blood is it? It's the blood of a nido, of a leido, of a zivo. Bein din ledin. What's the dinim? Din nefoshes, din monas, din makis. Which din? He passed it one way, he passed it another way. Bein net.
How can he be in a high madriga if he's arguing everything?
No, nobody's arguing everything. Each one of them he can argue. If you have a Zoker Man in either one of these cases, it goes to Zoker Man. You argue about the guy, of a person, of a house, of clothing. Divrei elo cheromim v'arechim v'agdeshus. That's hegdesh. Cherem, erchin, different types of hegdeshus. Rivo is also fighting. Zashka soito. Because usually when I have a soito, it's a fight between the husband and the wife. V'arifas eglo. Someone died. Someone was murdered. Again, fighting. V'taz mitzoyra is also fighting because mitzoyra comes because someone said lashon hara. B'sharecho in your gates zuleket shecho peyo. He's coming to argue in these halachas. The Kam told me basically valley. So then it says you go up from wherever you are, you go to Beis Hamikdash. Melamich Beis Hamikdash gavoya me'Eretz Yisrael. Beis Hamikdash is the highest place in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael gavoya mikol ha'arotzos. Eretz Yisrael is the highest from all the arotzos. The ones that tell me no one, I even know that. Ela mokim me'akim shamokim goyer. That's the argue with Beis Din in their mokim. So Beis Hamikdash gavoya me'Eretz Yisrael l'chtiv ha'aliso. He went up. Highest place there to show. They won't say they brought him to Israel. He brought him up. They bring you up from all the roads. It says Loshan Aliyah. Why Aliyah? You see how it shows the highest. Now, what's Pshat? It shows the highest. Talk about Kiddushin a little bit. Either Pshat is the common way to understand it. It doesn't mean higher in physical terms. It means higher in spiritual terms. But someone to say Pshat is, we know that Earth is a circle. It's round. So Shaila is, where do you put the top of the circle? Wherever you put it, that's the highest place in the world. Yerushalayim is the highest, that's the middle of the circle, and around is Eretz Yisrael. It says in what? Torah Abon. So we had a whole list of items that Zucker and Mama can argue about. We have a whole list. We'll get back to this list in a moment. It says in Torah Abon. Zucker and Mama says, in order for Zucker and Mama to be a Zucker and Mama, he needs to argue on something that if he does a Zodon, he gets a chorus, and if he does a Shgogu, he get a Chatus. No, you argue something which Ikar means main thing is the Vitoyu or the Raisu. But the way to explain it is Derabon. Even a regular Derabon. My time there, Mayor argues. How does he know that you go based on has to be chorus? That's the Parashat Zokimami. The Ksiv also v'ne'elam dover v'ne'akol. We're going over the Zohar. Malo holon dover shechavos doin the chorus shgogas chatos. Do the Zohar the chorus shgogas chatos for the Zohar. Avkan dover shechavos doin the chorus shgogas chatos. That's why here the argument between the Zohar and Ma'amar and Beis has to be something that is chorus and chatos. V'yabiudo. V'ya toya she'yerucho adika toyro v'yerucho. It's be toyro tosh b'chtav v'yerucho tosh b'apeh. Whatever they tell you. And that's the three shittas. Says the Gemara, I need to explain, you have to explain to me this Bryce Kotarman. What is the problem? Remember, this is what we're going to see now, basically for the next almost full daf, until going into Shabbos daf. What is the Gemara bothered by? The Gemara is bothered by we just brought a whole list of things where Zakamama can be a Zakamama. That's the beginning of the Mendy was saying, well, he's arguing all of them. No, even one of them. But Rameir says there must be something that you get cursed. That there's no, you don't have Zakamama. So you have to show me how every one of these examples can be a curse. That's like one's going to be busy now throughout the next daf to explain that every one of these items belongs to curse. More sense. So again, so what happened? It says please explain to me how this Bryce works to the mayor. Everything comes to curse. So Rava tells us, Tom, Papa, go explain to him. So he goes and explains to him. Let's start. Going back to the Bryce. Basically, we're talking about someone who's a dying. First thing is argue about. The Bryce says, Mim Chozeh Yoyetz, Sheyodea La'aber Shonim U'Likvarei Chadosh. He knows the Dui Bershon. So where's Karas over there? Kedanan, Em Yidu, Sheme'avim Sashana Kolodom. Shayu Umrim Ada Purim. So top of Purim says the word Purim. And also the Indian Purim, we'll see in a moment. They said you could do, you know that we have a din, that when comes others, you could, some years like we had last year, you had another month. So they said, until when can you decide to do another other? So until Purim. Once you get to Purim, you have to stop. Now that's what they said. Why?
Yeah, but isn't Purim always the second other?
Yeah.
How can you make this?
How do they used to do those days? Those days came other, like this year, and then they say, you know what? You have to add another month. So then they do Purim the next month. But let's say they decide to add the month after Purim. It's no good. You have 2 weeks to make a decision when once other came in. Once you got the Purim, you don't add. Why not? Because you start learning Pesach. When are you supposed to start learning Pesach? 30 days before. What is 30 days before Pesach? Purim. So you have to go learn, and Purim you have to learn Pesach. Right? Let's go back to that in a moment. Now, where is this? Why does this have to do with chorus? Very simple. He comes to argue and he says, the Zucker Mami says, you can't do, let's say for example, he says, you can't do Yibur Hashanah after Purim. And the other people in Dayanim say you could do Yibur Hashanah after Purim. So what happens? He says, a month later is Pesach. They say 2 months later is Pesach. Whatever you do, you're going to be over chorus. So you have chorus, very simple chorus. Now, very interesting thing about this, because when we get to this year, Mamish, we'll be Ma'achir in the morning, Shom Machshav on the Davs, to listen. But here it goes like this. This year is Purim in Yerushalayim. Purim falls what day? Shabbos. Purim falls on Shabbos. We have to go and do, we spoke about yesterday, do a Shir and Purim Shulish that Barry missed. But you have to move it to Sunday. The Suda. But the main Purim is on Shabbos. When do you read Megillah? You can't read Megillah on Shabbos. Friday. You read Megillah on Friday. That's what in Yerushalayim they read Megillah on Friday. That's the thing. What do you do on Shabbos? So it says in Shabbos, Dor should be Yudash. To start learning, you learn the halachas. Halachas of what? So I go down the halachas of Pesach. Because it's 50 days before, 30 days before Pesach. Purim says I have to start learning Pesach. So what says that comes to, that's have to start doing. So interesting, you get to this year's Purim, and you get to this year that you do Dash to your Pesach. Continues the Gemara that says, Dovar is halacha. What is halacha? The argument Luchem Mishmasina. Where Luchem Mishmasina you have a chorus. Second one is a Yichos Achadasar. What is Achadasar? Didma. Asiri or questions like this. We know that a woman can become Nida, can become a Zava, what we call today our full need of today, is doing 11 days. I'm not going to the details, but basically it's for us very easy because it's called 7-Eleven. Right? We know what 7-Eleven is. 7-Eleven did not start in a corporation in America. 7-Eleven started in the Gemara in Nida 2,000 years ago. Could be. I was saying before that. Because Nida is 7-Eleven. What's 7-Eleven? You have 7 days where she sees blood. She's considered to be a normal Nida of the Raisa. Then comes 11 days, which becomes much more severe like we have today. During the 11 days, the din is, again, I'm not going to all the details, but the is, if she sees blood 3 consecutive days, she becomes a Zava Gemara. Now, she sees only 1 day. She has to do Shemer Siyam Keneged Yom. She has to be a Nida for 1 day, meaning a Yom Mitzvah for 1 day. 2 days, Shemer Siyam Keneged Yom. 3 days, now she has to wait 7 Shiva Niki. Right? What happens if the day that she saw, but the only days you can become a Zava is only during the 11 days after the 7 days. 7-11, after doing the 11 days. What happens if she saw blood in the 11th day? Does she have to do a Shemer Yom? No. Then we'll see everybody agrees. Why not? Because the day she will be keeping is already after the 11 days. Only during the 11 days you have a problem. What happens if she saw the 9th day? Of course she has to do, because if she sees 9, 10, 11, she becomes a Zav. What happens if she sees the 10th day? She should be Shemer Yom for the 11th or 9th. That's something like this. One of them says yes. She saw the 10th, she has to wait 1 day. 11th. The other one says no. The only time they tell you to win 1 day is only you have potential to get to 3 days. But here she'll never get to 3 days because it's 10 and 11. You don't get to 3 days. That's the Machlik. Says the Gemara. Tidva Asiri, the 10th day. Meaning the same with the 9th day you have to have a shmira of 1 day Yom Naki. Was the 10th day after 1 day Yom Naki? Shimon Lakish Oba Asir Kechadasa. No, the 10 days they got 11 days. Pircham Asir Kachim Achi Boy Shimur. You have to have a gar. You have to have Yom Taro. Have a Sir by Shimur. Shlokish Oba Asir Kechadasa. Ma'achadasa Lo by Shimur. Have a Sir Lo by Shimur. Right? So that's the look. This is Karis. This is Allah Moshe Sinai. Shaila is what the Moshe Sinai is. And if they've committed Karis, we're talking about a Nida. If the woman is a Nida, it's only very Karis. Okay? That was case number 2 of the brace. Case number 3. Mishpat Ze'adin. What is that? That's Gzir Shav. What's the din? Where we get to Karis? It says about the Pizayin with base. Bistoi Manusoso. Din Bistoi Manusoso. What does it mean? Meaning, when you have a daughter from in marriage, so how do you learn it? You learn it from Gzir Shav. Right? So you learn Gzir Shav, the what? So how do you know that there's a Yisukores by a daughter not through marriage? Gzir Shav. So if they're arguing on that, it's a Yisukores. Very good. Dam nido, dam leido, dam zivu. Dam nido, what they're arguing about? Look at that kavim ma'alal verabon. Mechlek is Mesechus nido. Nam dam hayorek. Dam hayorek means in green blood, or the yorek in the lush of the Gemara really means yellow. So yellow is a blood or not. Kavim ma'alal mitame, chum mitayim. Kavim ma'alal says it's tame. Chum says it's tame. So what do you see? You have over here Mechlekes. Beit Din Karis. That could be the machlekes of Zokim Mamre with Chachamim. By the way, I just want to say one thing. Going Bisu Manusov, so the case before, so he says all the case that one's going to bring in this whole daf is always a machlekes. And we say the same machlekes we have in the Gemara, that's the machlekes of Zokim Mamre with Beis. In one case, there's no machlekes Bitu Manusov. Previous case, we're just saying if you would argue in that, that's what would happen. Now we're bringing this machlekes. So that applies to the next case. This case talk about machlekes if green or yellow blood is the blood. Dam leido. What is that? Look at the Rav Levi. The Rav Omar Mayan Echadu Torati Mosoy Vatorati Mosoy. Levi Omar Shnei Mayin Osem Nistamatome Niftachator Nistamatore Tor Niftachator. What does that mean? We know that a woman who gives birth. Let's take it depends if she gives birth to a male or female. Let's take the case of a male. How many days she has that applies to her birth? 40 days. That's the thing. 7 days is called Dam Tomei. 33 days is Dam Tor, which means she sees blood the first 7 days, she's a Nida. She sees blood the last 33 days, she's Tor. Good. But here's the Machlekes. What happens if she sees blood? Let's talk the first of the theory. What's the theory of Machlekes? Isn't Shatu that you have 2 different flows of blood coming from 2 different sources? You have a flow of blood, which is Talmudic blood. You have another blood of Tar. And the Torah tells you the first 7 days, the flow is coming from the Talmudic blood. The last 33 days is coming from the Torah blood. Or you say, no, it's not 2 different flows, it's the same flow. The Torah just told you the same blood that's coming the first 7 days, day number 38, it becomes already Tar. Ma'af Kamino. Remember, she sees blood without any stoppage. She sees blood. It's one big flow. If you tell me that the first 7 days is Tomei, the next day is Tar, the new blood that comes is Tar. But if you're telling me no, it's not Tar, unless it stops and starts again, so it's Tomei. That's the Machlekes the Gabi Koris. You have a woman, she's at the 8th day after giving birth for a male, and she still has a flow from before. Is it Dam Tar, which is Mutul L'Bayla, or is it Tam Tar, which is also L'Bayla? Machlekes and Koris. Dam Zivo. What's Dam Zivo? What's Machlekes? The Plug of Dam Blazer Rabbi Shlomo Nan Ki Shesor Shlosh Yomim B'Tor Echad Asayim. Meaning, if Shiv Sobeis Ha'is Yoda Reiz Yoz B'Zoy Divrei Avlos. What does it mean? The thing is like this. If a woman sees, like we mentioned before, 7-11, if during the 11 days she sees 3 consecutive days, she becomes a Zoh. What happens? She's a Zoh, she's Tomei. What happens if she gave birth? It's called Yoledes B'Zoy. She gave birth and she stopped. She can't go to the mikveh right now because she still has blood, which becomes Torah, she has to think of the Ziva as well. Right after the Ziva, after seeing blood. She saw blood 3 consecutive days and gave birth. Yeah, during the 11 days. She had blood for 3 days, and she had a baby, and during that time, you say you let us B'Zoy. But, sorry. Before you listen, I skipped this stage. She has blood and she gave birth. You see, that's not ziva. Why? It's part of the birth. Meaning, when a woman gives birth, usually there's a lot of blood over there, right? That's part of the birth. Blood is coming out. So I assume the blood is not a blood of ziva. It's a blood of birth. But if there was a break between the blood and the birth, then you say no. 3 days is the zava. She's tummy because of zava. And the birth came later. The blood has nothing to do with the ziva. How long of a break you need in order to say?
Before the birth.
Yeah. How long of a break you need to have in order to separate between the blood of ziva and leida? That's the machlekes.
What about a C-section?
You know, we're just talking a case. If doing 11 days, she's supposed to be C-section. When you have a regular birth, we're not talking about that case. We're talking about a case that she came to the 11 days. She sees 3 days of blood, and then finally she gives birth. So you say, that has to do with the birth. If she had a break, no. How long is the break? Says the Gemara. How long is it? So im shav somei slays v'yol there is yos b'zoy divi Rabbi Lozer. Rabbi Lozer says 24 hours. Has to be not 24 hours. Has to be a full night and a full day. So she stopped in the middle of the day just to wait the next day. She shot him in that enough that just the pain stopped even though the blood did not stop. So what do you see over here? It's a machlekes. And she had blood. She had a break of 24 hours only, and she gave birth. So according to first Bandoma, she's a Zava. According to the second Bandoma, she's not a Zava. Because it's considered to be the birth came from blood. So that's a question. Zava is an Isur Karos. Says the Gemara, being Din Ledin, we saw another thing that the Zokir Bam is arguing is about Din Ledin. What is it? Being Din Mominus, Din Nefashis. What is Din Mominus, Din Nefashis? You have two Dinim. Dinim and Dinim Makis, right? Dinim Mominus, Nefashis and Makis. Dinim Mominus, including the Shmuel, V'Abavo. What's it look like? It's not much Shmuel. Shtaim Shedonu Dinem Din, and Shekah Beis Nechotzuf. Two people do a Din, Beis Nechotzuf. Right? They machlekes is a din or not. Now, how does that have to do with chorus? So Rashi says, here's where you get to it. You get to it like this. If I give kiddush, a person comes and says, you have two base of two. They say, Mendy, you have money to the bear. So what happens then? Money belongs to who? You give it to Barry. Barry goes does kiddushi to a woman. If you say it's not a din, it's not his money. And if it is a din, it is money. Is it kiddushi chal or not? That can be a curse. That's what Rashi wants to say, to be clever. Din nefashos, what's that? When it says you have to, when a person goes and he hits a woman, he's trying to hit his friend, and by mistake he hits a woman. Does he have to pay for it? Or does he have to, or you kill him? So the machlekes, here we have nevesh taga nevesh moment. Talking about a moment now, nevesh taga nevesh taga. We saw it before. It says nesina before and nesina after. Soup sukim. Moment. So again, the same idea. Is he chayav to pay or not? If he's chayav to pay, so the money belongs to the guy. He does kiddushin. It's a good kiddushin. If he doesn't have to pay, so so that. Dinemakis. What's dinemakis? Says the Gemara beplukta the Rishua v'Rabbanan. What's Makis? Makis is going to be Makis. Then, Makis begin. How many people you need to administer Makis? 3 dayon. Shor Rishua now will be Chav Gimel. They have 23. So what's that Kimino? So Rashi says over here, if they hit him with 3 people, so according to Rishua, you have to pay. You're not allowed to hit me. You have to pay 23. So the money belongs to him. And if you have 20, according to the other one, they did okay. So the question is, have to pay money, and that money does the kiddush. Be'negel and negel, what is that? Be'nigib odom, nigib batim, nigib godim. So when nigib odom, what's the machlekes over there? Machlekes of shuv rabban. Now in the heres kodam l'sar lavan, tame. If you have the white stain comes before the hair, stop it. If sar lavan kodam l'be'eres, star. If the hair came before the be'eres, star. Sofik, what happens? I don't know. Tame. Shuloy me kiyah. What is my kiyah? Amarova kiyah tar. Rashi learns kiyah means he diminished it. I'm not sure it's tar. So machlekes is tar or tummy. That's a community legabi karas because the person went into the had this saras and then he went to Beis Hamikdash. Is chayav karas? So Shaila is a chayav on that. Nigibati, what's that? Nigibati. Look at Abelazar, Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan. Abelazar, Rabbi Shimon Oimer, Loy Rabbi Stomi and Shirek, Shtei Grisim, Ashtei Avonim, Shtei Ksolim, Keren Zovis. So we saw before. According to Shimon, according to Abelazar, Rabbi Shimon, it needs to be two saras has to be at the corner of the house. Has to go at the corner. One a greasy, one big corner. Shtei Grisim, Shtei Avonim, Shtei Ksolim, Keren Zovis. Or shtei greasy, the lead has to be greasy, but also like a grease. By time of the Abelazar, we saw before Shimon. Ksiv kir, the ksiv kiris, two tibim psukim. Ezu kir shuki kiris, one wall which is two. Hebarim is the keren zovis. So machlekes, you go into a house that has less than that size. According to Rabbanan, it's tummy because we sing mishchav karis. According to Abelazar Rabbi Shimon, start. Nigib gotim, what is that? Look at the Abiyaynisum, Yachtumus Rabbanan. Regarding clothing, how do you know that if we know there's a concept? First, is it mitzoyro on his hand? He has saras. He has mitzoyro on 70% of his body. Is mitzoyro. He has mitzoyro on 99% of his body. Mitzoyro. Mitzoyro on 100% of the body. What is he? Tar. If the whole body became saras, he's tar. What about clothing? So that's a machlokes. Meaning the pricha because means the whole beggar becomes saras. Shitoyo. Ma karachas v'kabachas balding. It says by Adam. Karachas kabachas lotion of balding. Ma karachas kabachas balding. It says the same lotion of balding. Ma lo'olon porach b'kulu torah. Kam porach b'kulu torah. So we have the machlokes. What happens if a clothing has full saras? Is it torah or not? Nafkamina. Is it mitzoyer or not? If he's tamei, he can't go to B'Svigdosh. If he's tar, he could go to B'Svigdosh. That's machlokes got to be course. So the Gemara went out through the brisa. We still have more until the end of the next Talmud. The Gemara is going to go on to say that each one of the cases that we mentioned in the brisa applies to chorus. To tell me that it works like Rameir that holds there has to be a machlokes regarding chorus in order to be a zoken.
If it's all mitzvah is tor,
yeah, if he's fully tzaras in the body, chorus b'kula tor. What's the law? What's the machshava? Can't be 100% bad in the world. It's a little bit good. 100% bad is no such thing.
Yards 100%.
Huh?
Yards 100%.
It's very low.
really good. So if it's not all.